Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We have a new newsflash episode for you. We're talking about Hurricane Dorian, Brexit, and the last chance for voters to resolve this crisis up in the UK. We'll get Indy on soon, I promise. Dan Crenshaw and AOC are in a feud. The stupidest, worst boss ever. Jacob Wohl has an arrest warrant out now, believe it or not. Steve King drinks from a toilet, and Joe Biden. He's doing a climate change thing tonight, at the Climate Forum on CNN. But guess where he's going after that? A fundraiser co-hosted by a fossil fuel executive. The change we need, folks. The change we need. And also, folks, The View is back. Also, a lot of fun there. We're going to start right at the top today with Hurricane Dorian and the Bahamas. Right now, taking a look at everything that is going on. It's a Category 2 storm with 110 mile per hour winds, 150 miles south of Charleston, South Carolina. The storm surge threatens most of the southeast coast right now. Dorian left also already massive devastation in its wake in the Bahamas. Like boats literally in the middle of the street. It's like roofs caved in. It's going to be awful. Maintaining his home ready for the storm died in North Carolina. Jacksonville was wary, but appears to have spared the worst at this point. So Hurricane Dorian has already caused widespread devastation. It's 275 miles southwest of Wilmington, North Carolina, and moving slowly towards the northwest at 8 miles an hour. So it's not going very fast at all, and that's the problem. It stays over these places for such a long time and hits them hard all the time. It is devastating. It's absolutely devastating for places like the Bahamas, who have had these storms sit on them for 24 hours and things like that. Like, that is tough when you got a category, what it was, 5 storm, category 5 storm, just absolutely hanging over you for 24 hours. Like, that's not okay. It's very, very bad. A storm surge warning was extended recently to Pocasson, Virginia, and Hampton Roads, if you have any listeners on over there. Meteorologists warn residents of shore communities from Daytona Beach, Florida, to Virginia that they face a danger of life-threatening inundation from rising water within the next 36 hours. In some parts of North and South Carolina, the storm surge could reach 5 to 8 feet. The storm's heavy rains, 5 to 10 inches along the Carolina coast, with 15 inches possible in some spots, could also cause some pretty dangerous flash floods, which is the problem. It's storm surge, obviously, stuff like that. Really, really rough. Dorian is expected to continue moving northward off of the Florida and Georgia coast through Wednesday night, followed by a turn into the north-northeast on Thursday and a turn into the northeast on Thursday night, the National Hurricane Center said. So Dorian Center could be close to the Carolinas from Thursday through Friday morning. A report there from the New York Times. A lot of great resources. If you're in that area, please stay safe. Please get out of that area. Hopefully, if you have financial resources, maybe going on vacation or something, hope your house is still intact when you get back. I don't know. I've never really been in a hurricane before because we're up here in New York. I'm pretty well in New York, so we weren't really affected by Sandy, luckily. But now we turn to our main story, our lead story, I guess you could say, because it was kind of just a quick thing, like off the top, I guess you could say. But we now turn to the Parliament in London. Boris Johnson, he dared the opposition to back his call for an election and sneered the Labour Party's leader was a chlorinated chicken. That's how feisty he was today. He was very feisty, and he was taking a lot of L's because he's not doing so well. He had ushered in a new season of political mayhem in Britain by the time he was done taking questions on Wednesday, because Wednesday obviously is PMQs, where they just get to make fun of their prime minister for a few hours in Parliament every Wednesday, which is cool. One in which the voters are now as likely as their feuding leaders to resolve the questions over how and when Britain should leave the European Union. The raucous spectacle in the House of Commons illustrated the obstacles Johnson is going to have to face as he tries to leave Britain out of the European Union next month. On Wednesday, Parliament handed the Prime Minister two stinging defeats. It first blocked his plan to leave the Union with or without an agreement. Not going to happen. And then it stymied his bid, at least for the moment, to call for an election on October 15th out of fear he could secure a new majority in favor of breaking with Europe, deal or no deal. So his thought is, and I mean, this is quite a thought in my opinion, just based on what I'm interpolating here from British politics, the fact that it is very, very unlikely that the public is going to be enough behind him to say, we will support you across a cliff, no deal or deal, no matter what happens. We just want to get out, and we have you, so we're going to vote for you, Boris Johnson, to give you a new majority, by the way, which his is paper thin at the moment. So, yeah, like that is what he's trying to do now. It's a very dangerous proposition. So, yeah, that's pretty much what he's trying to do now. And there's not consent right now, even in the Parliament, for this to happen, let alone the British people. I mean, some of the top conservative aides to him and very, very prominent members of the party have said, F this, I'm out, after his plans to suspend the Parliament that we talked about recently. So that was quite a dramatic flare, because, again, and that's the crazy thing, we got people in Britain, like, they're actually standing up to their leaders, but, again, I mean, I think there's a different way of looking at it. Like, this is something that literally threatens everyone, whether it's the poorest person or the person with major businesses and trading and every day, because that threatens people. It destroys the entire economy. It is pretty much, if you're Great Britain, shooting yourself in the foot to spite your face. Like, leaving Brexit is one thing, but leaving the EU, doing Brexit is one thing, but doing Brexit with no deal is really, really, really stupid. And I mean there's don't get me wrong, the Parliament, even the Labour Party itself, is still very, very divided on when it comes to the subject of Brexit. So some people want to vote, some people a little bit more hesitant. Jeremy Corbyn is one of them. Some people perfectly want they want to see Brexit happen. They're from working class communities that the left in Britain still has a hold on, believe it or not. What? But some people, like the Lib Dems, they're from the big cities. They're kind of the English version of quote unquote coastal elites. They really want their big people's vote that they've been protesting for in London with their big signs for months. Like, they want that to happen. The opposition to Boris Johnson Conservative Party and Theresa May Conservative Party back when she was in power, it was not very thorough, because the Lib Dems are scared, you know what, lists. Guys, it's going to be a clean episode. I'm not swearing today, but they're scared, you know what, list of the people in the people on the left of Jeremy Corbyn. Like, they are like, we cannot have Jeremy Corbyn become the prime minister, because, again, they're a party funded mostly by billionaires. They're pretty much if like AOC, Bernie Sanders, this is a very rough analogy, by the way, if they kind of had their own party, it would be the Labour Party. If Chuck Schumer, Hillary Clinton, and Nancy Pelosi had their own party, it would be the Lib Dems, because they're the much more centrist party. They're liberal Democrats. Like, two of our most skeptical words when it comes to the left on this show. We're not very trusting of liberal Democrats. I think when they say that, in my mind, it thinks of someone who's like, I love Kamala Harris and to play Hamilton. Like, not quite, but yeah, you get the same idea with the liberal Dems. So, but still, that makes it all the more crazy that this Parliament today united on this bill to oppose and challenge Boris Johnson. Like, they were like, absolutely not. People in the Conservative Party, people in the Lib Dems, people in Labour, they rallied behind one cause and one cause only. It's probably not going to last for very long either, which is stopping Boris Johnson from doing whatever the crazy hell he wants to do. So it is it's pretty incredible. Like, his idea was so bad. It just brought all these warring factions within British politics together. So it is very interesting. So the frenzied maneuvering shows how Brexit keeps propelling the country even deeper and deeper into uncharted political territory where centuries of unwritten rule and conventions are giving way to a brawl over the future of the world's oldest democracy. So it is pretty incredible. Yeah, I mean, blocked the plans to leave the Union with or without an agreement. Then it stymied his bid, at least for the moment, to call an election on October 15th. So no election, no leaving without a deal. So that's very, very big there. The upheaval in Parliament on Wednesday was the latest and perhaps the ultimate test of a political system that has been really under unrelenting strain since the British voted to leave the European Union in June 2016. Their democracy has been in pretty much crazy mode, crazy town for they have never seen anything like this. It's not like they just have a bad president, because if you're bad enough, you can just get kicked out a month in if you're a bad enough prime minister. They could very well destroy their own economy. It's very, very, very possible. So Britain has kind of unwittingly become a laboratory for how deeply rooted parliamentary democracy can be shaken to its core by populism, especially when wrapped in the democratic legitimacy of a public referendum. And we kind of really break this down, I think, in a past episode that I will tell you about with last time we had Andy Cowles on, for everything kind of examining the origins, I guess you could say, of the Brexit case. That is one I think you're definitely going to want to listen to, because that one I think was incredibly, incredibly interesting for me. Probably one of my most favorite non-big guest, I guess you could say, episodes for that I've ever done. So that is very, very interesting stuff. I'm trying to get you the episode. That is, give you the episode number at least. That is, it's just pretty much the one that has Andy Cowles. What's going on with bloody Brexit? That is episode 295 that we produced. So Parliament has pretty much become a theater beamed alive around the world in which democracy's messy, self-interested, and self-destructive tendencies are laid bare in real time. Britain appears to be heading to probably a general election in the coming weeks or months, with the opposition likely to agree to a vote once a law forbidding a no-deal Brexit is firmly in place. They want to challenge it, because Boris Johnson, probably not that popular, after trying to pull this, and a lot of people are against it, so the election is probably not going to go well for him. Again, we can't underestimate him, because he's not a dumb guy. He really isn't. He's really done a good job of manipulating the British public. He was one of the chief architects of the Brexit, the original Leave campaign. He somehow worked his way into being mayor of London. He's always been known as someone who's he's the kind of guy who intentionally messes his hair up before he goes on TV to look a little bit more frazzled and weird and crazy. That is the kind of guy who he is. He's all about manipulation. He's a very, very, very good politician. A very good politician. So it's not like it's a sure thing that if he loses the election, then it's all over. The whole Brexit thing, it's done. No. Because it's not a sure thing that he wins the election in the first place, because he's a very tricky guy when it comes to that. So an election could clarify a debate, though, that really has become hopelessly muddled. A clear victory would give Johnson's Conservative government a mandate to withdraw, regardless of whether it strikes an agreement with officials in Brussels. A defeat would eject him from office and in all likelihood delay and reshape the terms of British exit. Yet an unconclusive result, and equally plausible given the splintered nature of British politics, could leave the nation even more paralyzed than it is now. Having exhausted one of its last political mechanisms left, an indecisive vote could deepen divisions and reinforce fears that Brexit is a problem that defies democratic solutions. So, yeah, what happens when you want to vote? I think the main problem is they just can't figure out how to leave. Leaving is one thing. Leaving without a deal is insanity. Leaving, I think, is already, my personal opinion, is already stupid. But objectively, leaving the European Union is, without a deal, is like incredibly bad. Incredibly bad. So yeah, that is kind of what is going on there. And by the way, Johnson got an endorsement from Trump. He's in the